So now let's move on to step number 2, which is resampling. Now resampling involves changing the frequency of your time series observations. So frequency can be changed in two ways. First is downsampling. That is where you decrease the frequency of the samples. In our case, we have samples which contain daily data, everyday data. So we can resample that down to months. Now there is a second kind of data which is upsampling. So when you increase the frequency of samples to see where are the discrepancies lying. For example, in the data you are given minutes but you convert it into seconds, so that is known as upsampling. In order to see the underlying patterns, we follow downsampling as well as upsampling. So let's see how this is done using Python. I want to show you how to zoom into your dataset. For that, I'm taking the IBM's dataset and taking the location, which is from the time 1st of January 2018 till December 31st 2018. So I'm taking this thing over here and slicing my content according to this location, according to this date time location, and storing it in the variable IBM_18 because this data is of my year 2018. Next, I have to plot my graph, that is the indices against the adjusted close column. I'm keeping the grid to be true and again setting my x-axis formatter to contain both the year as well as the month, because now we have to zoom in. So our annual data now becomes the monthly data. And then the location also should be month locator. I'm also enabling my text to be rotated 90 degrees over here and finally doing a plt.show. So let's see how it looks like. So this is how it will look like. The data is from 1st of January 2018 till 1st of January 2019, and this is how the stocks traded. So we are seeing a sharp decline in the year 2018 for the stocks of IBM. Now I am doing this for all the other companies, namely Nvidia, Intel, Qualcomm and AMD, and sharing x and y axis I have enabled to be true. I have taken the subplots to be 2, 2 and figure size of each one of them as 10, 10, and I'm setting my major x-axis in the same format and also enabling the month locator. Next I am slicing it according to my date time indices, and on this axis 0, 0 plotting it against index and this adjusted close value. And this time I'm not just plotting it but also I want to see this scatter plot, so I'm enabling my delimiter to be this dot. The color of it is red and grid to be true, params to be rotated 90 degree, title to be Nvidia, and so on for all these. So red, green, blue, yellow again. So let me run this cell, and this is how our data looks like for the year 2018 and all these companies over here. So Nvidia from January 2018 was doing well up till probably September or October, and then it had a fall. Intel more or less had a consistent 2018, so did AMD, but it observed a raise in September to November. Maybe a new product was launched. So, and Qualcomm has been seeing ups and highs throughout the year. So this is how we can zoom in and get in our data, and then we can also resample it. So over here I have used downsampling because we had day-to-day data and it can be downsampled to weeks, months, quarters and years. So what about quarterly data if you want that? For that, we can simply do resample over our monthly data. So I have this NVDA underscore 18 data as well, and I have resampled it using this function available in Pandas. So this is 4m, and then I've taken the mean of that data, that is quarterly data, resample it and take the mean of all that resample data. Again, I am plotting a scatter because I didn't want to use I could have used the delimiter dot and use the plot function over here, but I can directly use scatter as well. You can try it on your own, whatever suits you. And then x takes to 90 degree, and now my x-axis will contain both the year and the month, and then my locator is set to month. So let me run this cell. So I wanted a scatter plot, and this is how it looks like. So for the quarter, this much, that is, now it's clubbing these data together. So from October till January, it's showing me the mean value of all the stocks, which was 210. Now it has clubbed Feb till June together, Feb till April together, and the mean of all that adjusted close of the stocks was around 230. So here we are seeing a sharp increase in the stock prices, and then we see a fall after the quarter of October. Okay, and this is for the quarter of November, December and January. So we see a fall, and then we see a steep fall in the year 2019 for this quarter. Okay, so this is how quarterly stock prices are analyzed, and I'm doing the same thing for subplots. So if you wanna run this Jupyter notebook along with me, you can go in to your GitHub account, and this is mine. So I'm just opening it up, and you can go to this link over here, stock market analysis of mine. So it's gonna be Divya Thakur 24/stock market analysis. You can start my repo if you like it and also fork it, then download it to your system and try this code out with me over here. So you can tweak it and try it out along with me. So quarterly subplots, let's see how it looks like for all the companies. So for Nvidia, we are also seeing a steep fall. For Intel, the quarterly is more or less the same. Qualcomm is also more or less the same, and AMD quarterly has risen a bit in the year 2019. So we can also do resampling weekly. For that, I am extracting this data from 15th of January till 15th of September, so I am getting only 9 months in hand, and then I am seeing what happened in the year 19 for IBM. Okay, and then from this data, which is the daily data from January 15 till September 15 of 2019, I am resampling it weekly and taking the mean of all the resample data. So let's see how this looks like. So weekly the data has been resampled. So as you can see, from 20th of January till 27, we have just one high value, one low value, one open, one close, and this is the mean value. Similarly for the week starting at 27th of January, similarly for 3rd of February, and so on. So let me plot this. I'm going to use -O, which is again the bigger notation for dot. So instead of a dot, I want a bigger circle, so I'm using -O. So these are all delimiters, and you can check out the Matplotlib documentation for more. You can also have star delimiter, triangle delimiter. So you can see the symbols from there. And I'm plotting the indices with the adjusted close value, keeping the grid to be true, and formatting the dates because now I want the date also, and I've resampled the data weekly, so I want this format. And then monthly, I'm locating the values, rotation to be 90 for the X labels and plt.show. So this is how the plot looks like. So it has all the line plot as well as the mean values represented by a bigger circle. By default the color is blue, and so is of the line plots and of these dots. So for this week this is what the data looks like, and so on. So we can see weekly how the data changed. Now similarly for the subplots, so first I'm extracting for NVIDIA, then for Intel, resampling it, extracting the data, resampling it for each company, and then subplotting it. So let me show you. So this is how weekly data looks like for NVIDIA, weekly data for Intel in the year 2019. Same goes for AMD and Qualcomm. But still, resampling isn't giving us a good picture of what happened to stocks, right? Because see, Intel started from around $50 and remains more or so $50, and Nvidia started from $150 and was in the range of $150 to maybe $180. So we are not actually able to visualize what happened to the stocks of each of the companies because they are not on the same level. They have different prices, but we want to see exactly which did the best. So for that we need something which is known as moving averages. So before I discuss the concept of moving averages, let me also tell you that the best method to understand this is like if a person had rupees 10 with him at the start of the day and he earns rupees 50 by the end of the day, on the other hand is a man who had rupees 100 with him, but at the end of the day now he has 120 rupees with him, right? So who earned more? In what percentage? Obviously rupees 50 at the end of the day is less than rupees 120 at the end of the day, but 50 minus 10, which is 40, so he earned a greater share than 120 minus 100, which is just 20. Okay, so this is how difference here becomes valid to analyze. So what was the opening value and what was the closing value and what is the difference between the two is going to give us a more better picture with respect to what is happening with these stocks. So again I'm taking out the diff and resampling it weekly, taking the mean of the resampled value, and let's see our data how it looks like. So the data has been arranged weekly, as you can see, 1421, and we have a diff column over here as well. So for the first week in 2019 from 15 Jan, the stocks did pretty well. They were on a high, then they got low, minus 1.4, then they got a little higher, minus 0.04 than the previous one, then they started making profit, then more profit, then some less profit, and so on. So this is how this will give us a better picture when we are comparing stocks of different companies. So I'm plotting scatter plot. I've got my data from over here between 2019 January till September 2019, and I'm taking the index from over here and also the diff value. So basically from our data set I'm taking this index as well as this diff column, and again I'm setting the date formatter to be year, month and date, and let's see how it looks like. So this is for IBM. So this is how it made progress and it got low on the same week. So we can see the scatter plot, and I'm doing the same thing for all the other companies, that is NVIDIA, Intel, Qualcomm and AMD. I'm creating a new difference column, diff column, and resampling the weekly values and taking their means. Now again I am taking subplots. So let's see. So this is how NVIDIA did. It's very unpredictable. It sometimes made progress, then there were lows, and then there were highs. Intel is not showing that much of increase or decrease. It's constant. Then here comes Qualcomm. It had a very low dip in the month of April, in some of the week of April, and then it again rose up and it fairly well. And this is how AMD's resample data looks like in terms of difference, in terms of profit. So which one is more stable? The stocks of Intel and AMD are more or less stable. Qualcomm also once hit a low, but then again jumped up, and Qualcomm has more stability than the stocks of NVIDIA that kept on making progress and then regress. So now comes the concept of moving windows. So moving windows are there when you compute the statistic on a window of data represented by a particular period of time. Window of data can be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then slide the window across the data by a specified interval. Okay, and that is 2 days, 3 days from. So using this specified interval, you are sliding the window across the data. That way, the statistic is continuously calculated as long as the window falls first within the dates of the time series. So we'll understand this more when we'll be coding. And a rolling mean smoothens out short-term fluctuations and highlights the long-term trend in the data. So this is what moving windows does. So for example, if you have a long road and you can't see the end of that road, if you start from over here, from where the road begins, and then with your speed, that is 20 km per hour, 30, then 40 km per hour, you are traversing that road and finally reaching the end of the road. So this is how moving windows also work. So for a window of data, you are moving with a specified interval of window and you are sliding it through the whole of the data, and this is how we are gonna see the long-term trends in the data and ignore the short-term fluctuations. So this is gonna be really useful. So let's see. So we are back to our Jupyter notebook and we'll be observing how moving windows work. So I'm taking it with respect to daily percentages. Now daily percentages is nothing but you are taking the adjusted close value of suppose 14th of September, okay, 09, and of the year 19, that is 2019, and then also taking the adjusted close value for 15th of September, okay, and then you are taking the difference of both these values and then taking a percentage of this with respect to the previous value. Alright, so now we are taking the percentage of this. So this is daily percentages and we'll see how this works, what this does for us. So now daily returns for the IBM data, we have chosen this value, adjusted close, and we are using percentage change on it, PCT underscore change. And to have any null values, to do away with the null values, we are filling it with 0. And I am doing in place equals to true. Okay, and let's see how our data looks like. So this is our adjusted close and I have taken percentage of this daily percentage and this is my index. This is what I had wanted. Okay, so it just had the index and this value adjusted close. Now in my adjusted close column I have done the percentage change. That is minus and then taken a percentage off. So now let's plot the histogram, because histogram will depict these values which will be close together, and I'm taking the bins to be 50 for the whole data set of ours. And let's see how this adjusted close daily percentages look like. So we can see that the stocks have neither flared more than minus 0.075 and also not made a profit which is greater than 0.05. So they have so these stocks of IBM can neither fetch you much money nor you can lose much money, is clear from this moving windows data. Now I have taken the daily percentage change from NVIDIA, then fill the null values with 0, and same for Intel's data, Qualcomm's, and then daily returns for AMD as well. So let's see one of these data sets, how it looks like for AMD. So this is how it looks like. Now for subplots, I'm using another library for plotting, which is Seaborn, and I have given it an alias of SNS, also used sns.set, so that our graphs are represented in the Seaborn format. And now I'm taking the subplots again 2, fixed size equals to this, and now I'm just, instead of a histogram, Seaborn has dist plot, that is a density plot, and I'm passing in this value over here, percentage, the daily percentages. The color I've taken as blue, red, green and maroon that are inbuilt in SNS available there, and I've chosen the axis and also the axis label. So this makes my task easier than Matplotlib. I don't have to explicitly say that grid equals to true and all. It will adjust it on its own. So this is how NVIDIA's data looks like. The stocks have not made much of progress, so 0.3, and not much of loss, minus 0.4, but this is more than IBM's. IBM's was stable, so that one was over here. It was minus 0.075 and 0.05. Over here, it's clearly that NVIDIA's stocks are having more loss, more chances of a loss. So this means that minus 0.4 means that for suppose 40,000 you can encounter a loss of 4,000 and so on, and also gain 0.3, that is 3,000. And this is how the Intel's stocks looks like. So you can lose minus 0.1 and less, and also gain till 0.1. Qualcomm's are much more stable, so it's minus 0.15 till 0.25, so you can earn more if you are buying the Qualcomm stock. So this is how moving averages, moving daily averages help us analyze the stocks better for a company. So the next step is to see volatility of stocks.